This video is brought to you by the good people over at patriotpost.us. They are a fantastic source of news and information, and a link for them will be in the description box. So when you head over there and subscribe, tell them that ABO sent you. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the New York Times, the so-called paper of record, yet again publishing fake news, this time about Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Now, there is a whole lot to quote-unquote unpack here, as the cool kids would say. So let's start from the very beginning. What's going on with this story? What is the allegation? Why did the New York Times report on it? And who from the New York Times actually reported on it? Brett Kavanaugh, as we all know, is a Supreme Court justice, and he had a rocky road to get in there last year. All throughout the summer, even before that, there was all kind of sexual assault allegations, random stuff. It got to the point where it was things that were not even possible. Talking about he attacked somebody's wife on the yacht in the 80s, just really random and weird stuff. The most famous one was of Christine Blasey Ford. She was talking about he had assaulted her at a party at somebody's house. I think she said that he was towards the end of his high school career at this particular point in time. Now, right after that, Brett Kavanaugh fiercely defended himself, said, "I did not do it. I was not there. It's not me." He had a calendar that had his agenda and his schedule on it, and it showed that he was not even in the particular area in question. At the time, he was somewhere else doing something else. He had like 100 women come out and defend him, not only through writing letters, but appearing on television, on stage, plenty of them to say that Brett Kavanaugh would never do a thing like that. So the story was totally bogus, and the mainstream media was left with egg on their face. Christine Blasey Ford got a bag of money from GoFundMe and pretty much vanished, dropped the whole case after Brett Kavanaugh became confirmed as a Supreme Court justice. It was clear that people from the left were trying to prevent him from coming into the Supreme Court because they were scared of Roe v. Wade being challenged and stuff like that. They did not want a conservative person into the Supreme Court. It's very simple, but we'll move right along. Now, here we are, about a year later from his confirmation, with a quote-unquote new allegation. Now, this is allegedly when he was at Yale. There's a story talking about he was at a party with his pants down, and then some of his classmates thrusted his penis into the face or the hand of a girl that was going there, so she touched it without her consent. That's the story that's been put out there. Now, the story was reported by two people at New York Times, Kate Kelly and what's the man's name? Robin Pogreben. Male or female, don't know, but I digress. They have a new book coming out called The Education of Brett Kavanaugh. So they're promoting their book. Buried in their article, like in the 11th paragraph, is this bombshell about Brett Kavanaugh. Now, they cite a person that allegedly witnessed this incident by the name of Max Stier, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, his name is Max Stier, who is a DC area lawyer and a big friend to the Clintons. He was on Clinton's legal team during the whole Monica Lewinsky kerfuffle and the whole impeachment hearings, okay? He was on his team back then. Now, he said that he saw it with his own two eyes. But what they did not report in the article from New York Times, but they did report in their book, is that the so-called victim does not recall the incident, okay? So you don't have a new allegation. What you have is a random person, well, not a random person, a very well-known DC-based Democrat lawyer who made an allegation against Brett Kavanaugh on behalf of somebody else who says they don't remember. Now, the New York Times came out and added that in there as a quote-unquote correction, but I hardly call that a correction. You should just delete the entire thing, issue a true retraction and an apology to say, "I'm sorry we reported this because we don't have any real evidence, no real witness, because if the victim does not remember it, how does the person, like, how did you see it if the victim doesn't even know what's going on? Okay. You have nothing here. You have an allegation from a person that has a clear axe to grind from being on the left and being affiliated with the Clintons. It's simple. Okay. Now, there was a separate incident that was talked about last year during the whole confirmation process. This came from a person by the name of Deborah Ramirez. She said that a penis was thrust in their face by Brett Kavanaugh or whatever. And then she's naming people that may have seen it. A guy by the name of Ken Apple comes up. He says he doesn't know that anybody saw that. He didn't see it himself. I think he may have named somebody that saw it, and then that person did not see it either. So you have a person that says, yes, this happened, and then names the witness. The witness has a recollection of it. They name somebody, potentially. They don't know either. So you have no witnesses, no evidence, no nothing, just basically what amounts to an urban legend at Yale, which it is, that has Brett Kavanaugh's name attached to it now because it's politically expedient to do so. This is what the left stream, the lamestream media does. They'll put out things like this and be like, oh, we're sorry, we retracted, but it's not even a retraction, number one. Number two, once you put it out there, it's hard to put that cat back in the bag. How about have a little bit of journalistic integrity? Do some research first before you publish a story, and do a little bit of verification. See if it's some actual, if it's a real and verified claim. People like AOC and many others are posting tweets talking about, oh, this is a legitimate claim. This is a new claim from a new person. You got to impeach Brett Kavanaugh right now. And I suppose you got to impeach Donald Trump because Donald Trump put him in there. So that must mean that by association, Trump is also guilty of some kind of sexual harassment or assault. This whole thing is ridiculous, but this is what the leftist media does. And the more they do it, the less regular everyday people are going to really buy into what they're talking about. Why would I, as regular Joe, as I close, buy a New York Times subscription when they keep over and over again posting fake stuff like this? Okay. And why would this whole thing about the new allegation not really be the lead in the story? It was buried in the story. That tells me, as many others may agree, that New York Times does not even really believe in it. They don't want that to really be the focus. How can it not be the focus if people actually read your stories? They're going to read it and see it. It's like, oh, that's a pretty big bombshell right there. Let's report on that. And then when it gets found out that the so-called victim does not remember the incident and how it was not even in the article, so somebody just reading it without going to the book to reference would not even know that there's no actual victim here because they don't want to talk about anything that's going on and they don't remember. So how you going to make an allegation on behalf of somebody else? Let them make the allegation and then let's see if there's any truth to it. Let's do a fact-finding process. I don't think they really want to do that with Brett Kavanaugh because, like what happened before, last year, he was able to prove himself to be a virtuous person and not this monster they were trying to paint him out to be. So what do you think? Do you think that Brett Kavanaugh has been appropriately accused? Is the accusation legitimate? Does it hold water? Or do you think that this is yet another nothing burger, a lie, and really, like Trump said, this should be considered libel here because you are a big-time paper, the so-called paper of record, right? You don't do any research, no investigation, and you're omitting things that are very important to the story that make the story appear to be what it's not. You can say, oh, well, there was an allegation and somebody saw something, but you forget to put the part in there about the actual victim who is still around and kicking and saying, hey, I don't know anything about this. I don't remember this. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to be in the whole firestorm because you got to understand one thing. Once your name is put out there, you now are going to get inundated with people trying to talk to you. They might show up at your house. It'll be a whole big circus and you trying to have a regular life. You don't want to be in the spotlight. Now you are. And here comes New York Times pretty much just dragging her out of the mud and putting her on Front Street unfairly. She does not want to talk about it. Doesn't know anything about what's going on. And there are no actual witnesses that saw a thing like this. There's no evidence of a thing like this. Like I said, this whole penis in the face fiasco is an urban legend at Yale that had been around for a while, as far as I know. And if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below. But now, because Brett Kavanaugh is who he is a right-wing person. They want to call him a white supremacist, that and the third. It's politically expedient to attach his name to that story because people may believe it. It doesn't have to be any facts, no evidence, no real witnesses, and no real victims. That's aside from the point. The point is that people are trying to resort to very dirty tactics to win their particular political games. But that is all I got. And whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.